Today is Thursday, August 27th, and this is the Astro Finance Weekly. Here's the question I want you to sit with this morning, because I think it's the one actually underneath whatever you're feeling right now. Your stack just moved harder than it has in 2 years. Do you trust it? Not do you like it? Do you trust it? Because there's a real difference between a move that's built on people getting forced out of positions and a move that's built on people actually wanting to hold what you're holding, and this week gave you both tangled together. A lot happened in the last 7 days, and most of it is noise you don't need. But there is one thing underneath it that touches your money directly, and I'm going to show you what it is, and when the next window that matters actually opens. Last week I flagged the stretch from the 17th into the 21st as mixed. Mars square, Neptune moodying action, Venus sextile Jupiter, opening real opportunity in money and relationship themes, and Venus opposite Saturn building toward a boundary test on the 21st. That red held. The week that followed was genuinely mixed, foggy on the surface, opportunity underneath for anyone paying attention. What I didn't call, because it wasn't in view yet, was the size of what came after. I had the character right, I did not have the magnitude. That's worth saying plainly rather than dressing up. This is the kind of sequencing the live charts maps before the week opens. Not just the mood, but the shape of it in advance. Now here's the noise, and then here's what isn't noise. AI capital is still pouring into infrastructure. A chip startup out of San Jose just doubled its valuation to $21 billion. A Chinese accelerator maker is raising close to $900 million in Shanghai. Interesting, not yours. Here's yours. Bitcoin broke out of the range it had been stuck in for 6 weeks, roughly 62 to 67,000, and squeezed to the high 70s, up somewhere around 20% on the week, its best weekly move in 2 years. And underneath that move, over $2.7 billion in short positions got liquidated in a single day, more than 90% of all liquidations that day. This was not primarily people buying because they wanted the coin. This was people who bet against it getting forced to buy it back at a loss. That matters to you directly because your coins rode that price up regardless of what caused it. But the second half of the story is that fund inflows into Bitcoin and Ethereum products came back hard right after. Over 600 million into Bitcoin funds, 200 million into Ethereum in a single day. So the squeeze opened the door and real demand appears to have walked through it. That's the piece that decides whether this holds. The what is becoming clear. The when is the real question. And that's where the sky comes in. The alignment I want you looking at is Jupiter trine Saturn, exact on the 31st. This is expansion and discipline working the same direction instead of fighting each other. Jupiter wants to grow, Saturn wants structure, and when they trine, growth gets a skeleton instead of just momentum. It tends to produce durability rather than a fresh spike. Confidence that holds its shape instead of confidence that needs to keep proving itself. For a man holding capital after a violent squeeze, this is the window that rewards patience over reaction. It punishes anyone still trying to chase the move that already happened. The 2 days before and after the 31st are where this settles in. Not a single date, a window. Right before it, on the 28th, you've got a lunar eclipse in Pisces, squaring Uranus 3 times over. Mercury, Sun, and the Moon itself all in tension with it. That's a day built for sudden information and sharp reversals, not steady movement. So the sequence is disruption first, structure after. If you want the day-by-day detail, that lives in the daily Astro Notes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday on YouTube. And if you want the timeline mapped to specific events, that's what the timing desk is for. If you want the exact dates behind all of this, rather than just this week's shape, that's the full architecture. The bundle across S&P, oil, gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and BNB, mapped against every major aspect 6 months out, published 3 times a year, holding around 80% backtested accuracy across years. It lives at ecoscopia.net, not a signal to chase, a map to check yourself against. Here's how it braids together. The eclipse on the 28th, this Friday, 2 days from now, sits right where the market is still digesting the liquidation event, meaning you should expect the possibility of another sharp swing before anything settles, technical disruption or surprising news landing in a market that's already thin on shorts and thick on fresh longs. Then the window opens toward the 31st, where Jupiter trine Saturn meets the start of a new 6-month cycle on September 1st. That's not decoration, that's the sky handing you a hard seam between a disruptive close to August and a more constructive open to September. Watch the fund flow data into next week, because if inflows keep building through that Jupiter-Saturn window rather than fading, that's your confirmation the demand is real and not just short covering residue. Watch for one more liquidation spike around the 28th before it. Those are the 2 things in order. So, do you trust the move? Here's the honest answer. You trust the direction and you stay alert on the size. The short squeeze got you the price. The fund inflows are what's arguing you get to keep it. That's not the same thing as a guarantee, but it's a real difference from a move built on nothing at all. This is not a week for chasing what already happened, and it's not a week for panic either. It's a week for sitting with what you hold and letting the structure catch up to the price, the way Jupiter and Saturn are about to. If you've been debating whether to add, this window asks you to wait for the seam after the 31st, rather than the noise before it. If you've been debating whether to take something off, ask whether you're reacting to the eclipse or to your own plan. The weekly is free on Patreon too. Following there costs nothing and supports the work. And if the markets aren't the only thing heavy this week, the quiet fire is the other work, for the weight a man carries quietly. That's there too. If you want the real-time version of this map, the timing desk sends astrology calculated signals for countries, events, and specific market windows. Same-day calibration alongside the live chart 6-month line. The course to draw your own calendar is there too, all linked below. This was the weekly. The daily slices return tomorrow Friday via YouTube. See you then.